on the corner of this building and that building. Not there anymore.
But let's talk about another more modern UFO sighting. These are the lights above the Jersey Turnpike. This happened in 2001. Now, it takes a lot for motorists to stop alongside a highway just to look at the sky. But on July 14th, 2001, drivers on the New Jersey Turnpike did just that. For around 15 minutes just after midnight, they marveled at the sight of strange orange and yellow lights in a V formation over the Arthur Kill waterway between Staten Island, New York, and Carteret, New Jersey. Carteret Police Department Lieutenant Daniel Tarrant was one of the witnesses, as well as other metro area residents from Throngs Neck Bridge on Long Island and Fort Lee, New Jersey, near the George Washington Bridge. Now, air traffic controllers initially denied that any airplanes, military jets, or space flights could have caused the mysterious lights, but a group known as the New York Strange Phenomenon Investigators claimed to receive FAA radar data that corroborated the UFO sightings from that night. Now, what's a real shame is that people didn't have cameras on their phones back in 2001.
No kidding.
You know?
Yeah.
That's definitely a very strange sighting over New Jersey Turnpike.
I just think it's great that there's a group of dudes just like hanging out watching these things, paying attention.
Well, you know what? There's been UFOologists for a very long time. You know, there's been people that have been following this phenomenon for decades and decades. You know, it's...
Hey, some people bull. Some people want to look for alien life. I like it, you know?
Observe queuing system when exiting the station.
Exactly. Doing something possibly productive.
It really is.
200 years and always going to remember your bowling game where you did so well. If you find an alien, they're going to care.
And these people get very passionate about it, you know, and it's something to be passionate about. It's very interesting. It is really the ultimate secret. You know, it is the ultimate secret.
Do you think the aliens get back to your ship and they're like, shit, do you think they saw us?
I don't think they care.
I don't think they want us to see them at all.
Why would they?
I think that we
Why
were
would
a
they
genetically engineered slave race and that we failed because we make terrible slaves. And I think that they just left us. They're like, leave these like shit monkeys to themselves. And you know, hopefully they never notice us. I think we're like dog people to them or something. I don't know a good way to explain it. Just little lesser crap beings.
Or we could be having something extremely dangerous like our potential. No, not currently, but potential the species has later down the road once it gets its shit together.
Well, that's just the thing. I think that's why they would leave us alone, precisely because of our potential for unpredictability.
Like, yeah, for as moronic as most human beings are, as a species, we are pretty adaptable.
And when we're threatened, we would do some crazy shit.
Yeah, like no other species that we know of in history has had the ability to like adapt and conquer its environment like we have. Like we have, well, like I was saying earlier today, we've diverged away from the normal evolutionary path and are literally forging our own evolution at this point.
That's a very pretty way of saying we made nature our bitch.
Pretty much. We're like, fuck you, we're tired of being slaves to this shit. We're finding a way, we're gonna find the cheat codes. We're tired of playing on consoles. PC Master Race, bitch.
I prefer a console.
Yeah, well.
Depends on the game.
I just don't want to deal with modders.
You know, as far as games are concerned, I'm the same way with any other piece of tech. I'm like, whatever I need to do to get the job done. I don't care if it's Unix, Linux, Microsoft, Apple, don't give a shit. Whatever I need to do to get it done. Anyway, sorry. We're like off-road and like left the rails somewhere back in the distance.
Now, I got a comment here from Dash Fat Bastard for $2 super chat. Thank you very much, Dash Fat Bastard. Much appreciated. Dash says the Hill UFO film with James Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons. Yes, that was called The UFO Incident. It was made in 1975. It was an American made-for-TV biographical film. So yeah, that's not one that I've seen though. I don't know if it's available anywhere on the internet. Coastline Kid says, when a modern educated person sees something in the sky they can't explain, it changes them. And I would believe that is the case, you know. Anybody who has a significant encounter of the first, second, third, or fourth kind is going to be changed drastically forever. You know, it would cause an existential shock looking at the night sky and realizing that here there are creatures visiting the Earth.
I wouldn't be shocked to be like, hell yeah, and I gotta be like, I need some way of proving this now.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the proof is in the pudding, and that, the problem is finding that proof. And until they land somewhere and get out and say, hey, we're from space, you're always going to have people who are not going to believe.
That's why you gotta wait for them to abduct you, but make friends. Then you take them out, you get them drunk, you beat the shit out of them, and you steal their flying saucers.
Then where do you hide the flying saucer?
You don't need to hide the flying saucer. You fly it right into a building. Not like bad. I'm not saying anything like that. But like, you know, make it so people notice. Fly into the Rockefeller Christmas tree.
No, dude, if it can fly through space and everything else and handle radiation and everything else, like, you go park it in a lake somewhere or stick it in the side of a mountain.
Yeah, but then I can't get out.
It's either that or you gotta put the damn thing in orbit.
Oh, fuck that.
I want to go to the moon first and then come back to the Earth.
Wait till the Super Bowl and land that bitch on the floor.
Yeah, now you're thinking.
They actually did a halftime show like that once.
That way you're flying in a real spaceship. It's a whole different look. But like, they spent a lot of money on this. Probably about $45 billion.
That would be the funniest shit. Middle of the Super Bowl halftime show, that happens and like, no, nobody let the doves loose. Start a war with this.
You know, a lot of times when you get a witness who's like a police officer, they generally seem to be more credible witnesses because you don't expect them to be making this kind of stuff up.
They're taught to always be aware and pay attention.
Your
The
job
whole,
at risk for crazy shit like that.
the whole story with emergency response people is that you're taught to be able to bring up an event in court.
Tell you what, definitely don't park that shit anywhere in Southern California. You come out near these strips.
Could you imagine? That'll be some big balls.
Right?
I don't know what this is, but I'm taking it. Quarters leaking. All of a sudden, you know, they got
Why on their balls?
because that's the most important thing on my body.
Okay.
Well, you got
I'm very, you know, psychologically driven here.
well, look, it would be blinky nips and glowy balls.
Yeah.
There you go.
When your shit glows in the dark.
They're high beams.
What do we call it? The human firefly. There you go.
And you got to figure there's lots of ancient artwork that depicts, well, I wouldn't say so far as ancient, but there's Renaissance, medieval artwork that depicts what look like flying saucers as well. You know, there's all kinds of, even, you know, some of the work of Leonardo da Vinci. One of his designs actually looked like a flying saucer. And it was a tank. It was an armored battle vehicle.
Oh, that thing? Yeah.
Damn.
Frameshift drive charging.
Let's see if we can take a look here.
Please tell me somebody went home and killed those little bits.
Well, you could if you had relatives.
Mission objective detected.
Really fooling me.
Let's take a
Like,
look at Da Vinci's fighting vehicle here. We'll see what.
For warp driving that bitch.
nah, it's probably like early tank tread type shit. Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Mm-hmm.
Flying saucer just kind of rolled along, had cannon ports, and you could lift up the little shackle, the little lift ports on the top so you could shoot out of them and shit. Stab people.
Stab people.
Hey man, like a long ass pole arm, that was more effective at that time than gunpowder, because that shit was expensive as hell back in the day. We take it for granted now because we have, you know, strip mining and all that, ancillary, secondary stuff coming out of there. But yeah, like back then, gunpowder was expensive. Not a whole lot of people knew how to make it, or even how, like what materials they needed to make it out of.
It was dangerous to have it stored around.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a question here from Transcendent Cthulhu Overlay. Let me see. Was that you, Transcendent Cthulhu, talking about the Allagash abduction? Where did I just see that? Yes, there was Transcendent Cthulhu Overlay. The Allagash abduction. So for those of you who aren't familiar, there were brothers Jim Wiener and Jack Wiener. And there were friends Charles Foltz and Charles Black. They claimed they were abducted by aliens during a camping trip in Allagash, Maine in 1976. According to the four men, hypnotic regression enabled them to recall being taken aboard a circular UFO and being probed and tested by four-fingered beings with almond-shaped eyes and languid limbs. In a later interview by the St. John Valley Times, Charles Rack changed his story, saying he saw the strange lights during the camping trip, but the abduction part of the story was a fabrication, and he went along with the narrative for financial gain. The three other members of the group stand by the abduction story. According to Jim Wiener, Jack, Charlie, and I, after all these years, are still in agreement with the Eagle Lake event as the three remember it. We also accept the results of the hypnotic regression session and subsequent polygraph test as supportive of an abduction scenario. Now, this was created a book called The Allagash Abduction. It's also an episode of Unsolved Mystery. Well, I should talk about Betty Barney as well. Am I still here? Am I still on?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't know. I got too quiet. I was like, what's happening here?
No, dude, we're feeding the floor.
So, the Betty and Barney Hillids, let's talk about that. They were an American couple, and they were abducted by extraterrestrials in a rural portion of the state of New Hampshire on September 19th, 1960. It is the first widely publicized revelation of the U.S. The incident came to be called the Hill Abduction and the Zeta Reticuli incident, because the couple stated they had been kidnapped by aliens who claimed to be from the Zeta Reticuli system. Their story was adapted from the USA 1966 book, The Interrupted Journey, and 1975 television movie, The UFO Incident. In September 2016, plans were announced to make a film based on the events, which are unknown at this time. Most of Betty Hill's notes, tapes, and other items have been placed in a permanent collection at the University of New Hampshire, Vermont. On July 11th, the State Division of Historical Resources marked the site of the alleged crash first approach with a historical marker. So even today, there's a historical marker that marks this abduction. According to a variety of reports given by the Hills, the UFO sighting happened around 10:30 p.m. on September 19th. They were driving back to Portsmouth from vacation just south of Lancaster, New Hampshire. Betty claims to have observed a bright point of light in the sky that moved from below the moon and the planet Jupiter upwards to west of the moon. While Barney navigated U.S. Route 3, Betty reasoned that she was observing a falling star, only it moved upward. Since it moved erratically and grew bigger and brighter, Betty urged Barney to stop the car for a closer look, as well as to walk their dog at Delsey. Barney stopped at a scenic picnic area just south of Twin Mountain. Betty, looking through binoculars, observed an odd-shaped craft flashing multicolored lights traveling across the face of the moon. Because her sister several years earlier had seen a flying saucer, Betty thought that might be what she was observing. Through binoculars, Barney observed what he reasoned was a commercial airliner traveling towards Vermont on its way to Montreal. However, he soon changed his mind, because without looking as if turned, the craft rapidly descended in his direction. This observation caused Barney to realize this object was a plane was not a plane. They quickly returned to their car and drove toward Fanatia Notch, a narrow mountainous stretch of road. The Hills claimed they continued driving on the isolated road, moving very slowly in order to observe the object as it came even closer. At one point, the object passed above a restaurant and signal tower on top of Cannon Mountain, and came out near the Old Man of the Mountain. Betsy testified it was at least 1.5 times the length of a granite cliff profile, which is 40 feet long, and it seemed to be rotating. The couple watched as the silent illuminated craft moved erratically and bounced back and forth in the night sky. Approximately 1 mile south of Indian Head, they said, the object rapidly descended towards their vehicle, causing Barney to stop in the middle of the highway. The huge, silent craft hovered approximately 80 to 100 feet above the Hills' 1957 Chevy Bel Air, filled the entire view of the windshield. It reminded Barney of a huge pancake. Carrying his pistol in his pocket, he stepped away from the vehicle and moved closer to the object. Using the binoculars, Barney claimed to have seen about 8 to 11 humanoid figures who were peering out of the craft's windows, seemingly to look at him. In unison, all but one figure moved to what appeared to be a panel on the rear wall of the hallway that encircled the front portion of the craft. The one remaining figure continued to look at Barney and communicated a message to him, saying, "Stay where you are and keep looking." Barney had a recollection of observing the humanoid forms wearing glossy black uniforms and black caps. The red lights on what appeared to be bat-wing fins began to telescope out of the side of the craft, and a long structure descended from the bottom of the craft. The silent craft approached to what Barney estimated was 50 to 80 feet overhead and 300 feet away from him. On October 21st, 1961, Barney reported to the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomenon investigator Walter Webb that the beings were somehow not human. Barney tore the binoculars away from his eyes and ran back to his car. In a near hysterical state, he told Betty, "They're gonna capture us." He saw the object again shift its location directly above the vehicle. He drove away at high speed, telling Betty to look for the object. She rolled down the window and looked up. Almost immediately, the Hills heard a rhythmic series of beeping and buzzing sounds, what they said seemed to bounce off the trunk of their vehicle. The car vibrated and a tingling sensation passed through the Hills' bodies. They said they experienced the onset of an altered state of consciousness and left their minds dull. A second series of beeping, buzzing sounds returned the couple to full consciousness, and they found they had traveled nearly 35 miles south, but had only vague, spotty memories of this section of road. They recalled making a sudden, unplanned turn, encountering a roadblock, and observing a fiery orb in the road. So this is a terrifying encounter for these people. And I would, for one, would be absolutely terrified as well. You know that these things aren't human. You know that they're going to get you, and you've got no recourse. You're just fucked. Just absolutely fucked.
That's the reason why it's so scary. Because like, what do you do? Not everybody just has a samurai sword laying around.
That's right. That's right.
If you're unarmed, there's not much you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they freeze you telepathically.
Exactly, or if there's some old couple who just can't really fight back.
Now, here's a great comment from Coastline Kid. Betty described amniocentesis before it existed. For those of you who aren't aware, that's when you sample amniotic fluid using a needle inserted into the uterus to screen for developmental abnormalities in a fetus.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so... they experimented on these people. They kidnapped them and experimented on them.
Now, let me set a scene for you. Now, what if that happened, like with the Hill case, right? But instead of getting abducted, the aliens came out of the ship, and, like, one of them got shot by the guy. What do you think would happen then? He just came out blasted.
Well, you know what? If you look at a case like the Hopkinsville Goblins, where people did shoot at these creatures, and to no avail, the bullets just bounced off of them and sounded like metal rattling against some tin. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily a guarantee that, you know, a firearm is going to be the best defense against these creatures. You know what I mean? Pirate Radio points out, I've heard that some would-be abductees have halted the experience by invoking the Judeo-Christian Jesus Christ's name. You're absolutely right about that. I've heard the same thing as well. Now, there's two things we can take away from this. Either people are lying because they want to promulgate their own faith and do so by tying it into the UFO phenomenon, or some of these UFO encounters are demonic in nature. Now, I'm of the opinion that sometimes what people assume to be a UFO encounter can be demonic vexation.
Here's a third alternative, though. Okay, now, if this is the same couple I'm remembering, weren't they an interracial couple?
Yes, they were.
Okay, so, and that was really abnormal of the time. I wonder if maybe it was the
You think they were
government-
targeted?
Yeah, I wonder if it was like, or even if the government or somebody else could have said, hey, you know, let's experiment on them, because you said they took a sample of amniotic fluid. Wouldn't, or doing experiments, well, maybe just some medical researcher would want to know, okay, what type of baby would this be? Because they hadn't seen a lot of interracial, you know, marriages at the time. Maybe it was just something like that, where somebody just kidnapped them and experimented on them. It was just a person. Could have been a mad scientist. Could have been one of those World War II bad guys, you know?
Could have been, because they definitely had the technology.
Mhm.
From
And-
what we've heard over the years, that they had advanced technology, the diaclock, the
They only
flying.
brought them over here until the late 50s.
You know, but one must assume, if that's the scenario, that there's an entire breakaway civilization that operates with impunity outside of our own civilization,
Like the Men in Black.
like the Men in Black. But the Men in Black, they were...
Let's be honest, Pete. The CIA. they're good people. They're good people. They're just... Can't always tell.
Oprah Winfrey has a good comment here. How come the aliens just don't waste people instead of wasting resources bringing them back? Well, we have to assume that their intention is not to kill people because of some particular reason we can only speculate on, but perhaps it's for scientific reasons. When people are abducted, they tend to be abducted throughout their entire life. So, for all we know, this also runs in families. And they could be doing research. They could be tagging and watching and following the life cycle of certain individuals, certain families.
That's a lot like the Taken miniseries. It went kind of that direction, where they were trying to find like the two best, most compatible sort of people to kind of interbreed with over the years.
Scan detected.
Because they weren't strong enough themselves. So.
Yeah, you're
But
talking
they're just looking
about,
for a bull.
well, I mean, if you look through history and everything, you'll see a pattern of behavior within groups throughout the ages where, yeah, it's been like a couple thousand-year-long eugenics program. Just passed on from one generation to another. People pick it up and run with it.
And look, there's lots of stories about these aliens having breeding programs where they, you know, impregnate a woman with a hybrid being, you know, after or during an abduction. They return the woman to her regular life, and then after a certain amount of gestation, abduct the woman again and remove the fetus. And this is what happened to Mary Tooman when I was talking about that Von Hopkins book, Intruders. That's exactly what happened to her. She was impregnated. Thought that she had gotten pregnant with her fiance, and then assumed that she had a miscarriage, but had foggy memories, and they did, you know, hypnotic regression, where during one of her abductions, they brought out the child for her to meet around 3 or 4 years later. And her depiction of this was that it did not look good. You know, that it was this hybrid. It was not easy on the eyes. One can only imagine how disgusting the hybrid creature between a human and an alien would be. And we have to assume that, like, is it natural for humans and aliens to breed? Is it something that could occur naturally? Or is it something that's going on because of their advanced science? You know, it's like the way a dog can't breed with a cat. Why can an alien breed with a human? How is that possible? There must be something there. There must be a genetic compatibility.
Filling in all the DNA gaps.
Yeah. And there are some gaps in the DNA.
Yeah, a lot of people over time have said that humans are very weird in that it's almost like we're programmed to be able to be upgraded. But we're not.
Oh, no. So Sonic 15 says, if you get abducted, they may be going after your family next. Yes, there's lots of cases of that. I remember a specific case in Puerto Rico where they were abducting the whole family. You know, and that happens a lot where they come after the whole family. There's not much you can do about it. There was a great movie I saw with Kerry Russell. I forget what it was called, but they were being abducted. Give me a second and I'll tell you what it was. But it was a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it. Dark Skies. Called Dark Skies. It's from 2013. Scary movie, folks. Scary film. What's his name's in it too? J.K. Simmons. He plays the UFO researcher. You may best know J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man movies. I believe he's also in some insurance company commercials. Farmers Insurance, is that him? We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, was it the J.K. Simmons in it?
Yeah.
That dude got buff as shit recently too. I'm like, damn. Old man got swole.
There's a comment here. Stephen Nunes. You remember the Reed family abduction on Fox 5? I couldn't sleep for days. So, let me see. That would be,
Scan detected.
Oh, you're making that dude proud.
Scan
It's just assuming everybody uses an ad blocker.
Well, yeah, I ain't got time to watch that shit.
Frameshift drive.
Yeah, do you know how dangerous it is to try and click past ads while you're driving doing 60 miles an hour in fucking LA traffic? I ain't got time for it.
You're all clear. Hope to see you again, Commander.
okay. Reed's account of his family's 1969 with a UFO, encounter with a UFO in Sheffield, made headlines. It boldly went where few tales of alien sightings have gone before. Into the historical record, folks. The Great Barrington Historical Society formally inducted the story in February 2015, describing it as significant and true after reviewing contemporaneous news coverage, witness statements, and polygraph results. A group of local supporters erected a $5,000 monument to Sheffield's brush with the unknown last August, making a 2015 a banner year for Reed's long struggle to legitimize his account. In September, just weeks after the monument's dedication, a still unverified vandal took a can of spray paint to the monument. Sheffield Police Eric Munson said in a phone interview, "Just strictly graffiti, no words." There was some controversy in the town when it got put up, so it could have been somebody there. Could have been some kids trying to make their mark. Local residents were surprised at the size of the structure, a large white granite brick with features a plaque touting the official induction of our nation's first off-world UFO incident. Not everybody was happy with the monument, which was privately funded but appears in a prominent location near the Sheffield Bridge. That part of it created a little bit of a bad taste in some people. Or it could be somebody who took offense to the topic, but no one knows why it got vandalized. But worse than the physical damage is the sensationalism. According to Reed, he's been appeared on a number of alien-themed cable reality shows, all of which, from paranormal paparazzi to alien mysteries, promise to take his story seriously before exaggerating it on air. And the mainstream press has been a little better, according to Reed, describing his account as abductions, a word he swears he never used. The papers and stories got so ridiculous that the truth has been lost. First of all, they keep using the cornball terminology you might find, the abduction stuff. That's not what happened. Our family is very credible. We're not a bunch of lunatics. Here's the truth as he tells it. Reed and his family were driving from Ski Butternut in Great Barrington over the Sheffield Bridge when they noticed a bright floating object near their car. They felt what Reed described as a change in pressure or electromagnetic field. A dead silence fell, the light grew brighter, and they found themselves somewhere else. Now, we do remember being in what looked like an airplane hangar. We didn't stay in the car, we were removed from the vehicle. That's true. Where we were, I don't know. Reed also told of encounters with UFOs that took place in previous years, but the 1969 incident coincided with widespread eyewitness reports of glowing flying objects in Sheffield, according to the Boston Globe. Reed is now taking action to fix both the physical vandalism of the monument and the sensationalism of his family's story. The monument will be refaced and a solar light and bench will be installed in the coming weeks. On October 22nd, Reed will appear at the Ski Butternut with fellow UFO advocate Travis Walton, who you guys might be familiar with the Fire in the Sky movie.
Oh, yeah.
And sci-fi television host Ben Hansen, an owner of the Star Child skull, the form skulls. Boy Pye was a big proponent of the Star Child skull. He has since passed away, so I don't know if this person came in possession of the Star Child skull before or after this particular incident occurred. But Reed eventually left Sheffield before moving to Florida and starting a modeling agency that sought to provide extras for films like Too Fast, Too Furious and Miami Vice. At the event, he hopes to walk back the exaggerations, like those in episodes of Uncovering Aliens, a reality show, which turned Reed's ambiguous experience into a tailored alien medical experimentation. I was told it would be factual, and it would be this, that, and the other thing. The next thing I know, they've blown it out of proportion. We were promised it would be a bio-type film. It was anything but. It was so ridiculous. So this is somebody whose story was exaggerated and out of control. But they found themselves taken outside of their car and reported they were inside kind of an airplane hangar or something, which probably was the inside of an alien craft. Larry says the Greys can be drones doing work to higher beings. I'm under the impression the Greys are some kind of cybernetic organism. But not all of them. Because you got tall Greys, you got short Greys, you got brown Greys, and all these Greys in between. So I think one species of Greys, let's say the Zeta Reticulates, are, for all intents and purposes, androids or cyborgs or genetic robots, organic robots, let's say. Because they would be able to not only survive the rigors of space, but have the longevity necessary for space travel, provided that these people are traveling at speeds that we, can't ourselves attain. So, it leaves a lot of questions. Pyramid 7 says there's a multi-millionaire who owns a warehouse in Vegas that holds a ton of alien stuff in it. What's his name? He has contracts with MUFON. His name's Robert Bigelow.
And what does he have exactly?
I believe he has some materials they believe are extraterrestrial in origin. I got a great comment here from TJ Swan that I would be remiss if I didn't put up on the screen here. It's just too damn good. Let me see if I
Orbital flight engaged.
Fuck $25 once-a-year books. Fuck overreaction to Space Wizard movies. Fuck Twitter high school. All of this is corny.
It is. Oh, it is.
That's
Like,
why I stole a shirt on Teespring that says, I don't give a fuck about Space Wizards. Because I don't give a fuck about Space Wizards.
Cornier than the morning after shit of Tex-Mex.
I didn't have to.
Hey,
I don't
you know what
doubt
though?
that for a minute. I don't doubt that for a minute. You gotta be tired of it. You just gotta be.
You know what though? Like, it sells.
It does.
Like honestly, I don't begrudge anybody. Like, if you find your niche in your market or whatever, run with it, but we'll make your paper.
You know, it's like I said the other day. Well, I'm just going to digress real quick. And then we'll get back to the other stuff. So you guys will indulge me. I got Disney Plus because I've got children. And I can trust that if I put in front of something with Disney on it, it's not going to be something I got to worry about. So I said to myself the other day, I had some downtime and I watched the Star Wars movies, the old ones, you know, the first ones, the first three, with Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford. So I watched those three movies.
The real ones.
It was the first time I've seen them in 20 years, and I still don't see what the great big deal is. I just don't. You know, I'm a Star Trek fan, because Star Trek is for adults, and Star Wars is for kids, man. Space Wizards.
It's something that kids can also get into, but I don't think it's just for children. It's something that the parent and the child can watch without most of the parents getting it. Because, I mean, $3,000 refrigerators. You know, that's not
marketing is
but-
different.
Star Wars,
Marketing is
but-
definitely different.
Yeah, but people gotta trust over
Tons of
everything.
like stunted. There's tons of 40-year-old adolescents that still are into this shit. You know what I mean? So they know that they can market to them the expensive cookware and you know ovens. I don't know, like where
Right.
do you really have an oven?
Like-
a Star Wars oven?
Like, how progressive is that? You take your female lead and she's selling kitchenware.
Yeah, right.
It's like, could you be any more like, bitch, get back in the kitchen? I'm like,
How
really?
bullshit on all of Star Wars. Like, I think Star Wars is just it's McDonald's. It's for everybody.
Yeah, Mr.
But no,
Trick says 7 begins with a firing squad. Is that for kids? Yeah, they're shooting space lasers. Pew pew pew. Come on. Come on. You know when I saw those movies when I was 4 years old? That's when I saw Star Wars. You know what I had when I was a kid? Star Wars toys. Because you know what you do? You make toys for? You make toys for kids out of stuff that's meant for kids. If it was for adults, there wouldn't be toys of it. Now, that's not to say they haven't taken R-rated properties and tried to sell it to kids too, because I remember they had Alien toys and RoboCop toys and Rambo toys and Chuck Norris toys. But these were all marketed to children during a time when they would market anything to kids. But I digress. We're back into the alien stuff here. Milton Knoll says Star Trek and Star Wars, both science fiction, made up stuff. They're both for kids. Get over it. I'm not going to argue that point too much because I got into both. I got into Star Trek when I was a little kid. I liked all the costumes and cheesy stuff.
You know what though? Point of privilege. Point of privilege.
Point of privilege. Point of personal privilege.
I will say one thing I've always enjoyed about Star Trek over Star Wars is you can look at Star Trek. There has been more shit introduced in that series that has become real world tech that we use on a daily basis than any other science fiction franchise out there. So like Star Trek
and
Star Trek I always looked at as more as like a thought experiment of what we could
And
do as
dune
people
buggies.
if we got our shit together.
and dune buggies.
Yeah. I want phasers and dune buggies and fucking butthead aliens to like shoot at and shit. Bring it on.
Steve Nunes points out Spaceballs was way better, and Spaceballs was not. She's gone from suck to blow.
Oh god. Mel Brooks, please don't die before you get. I'm like, Mel Brooks. Nobody fucking die before you get Spaceballs 2 completed.
See, I can watch Spaceballs over and over again. I don't know how many times I can still watch Star Wars. Because they're so long, they change them all the time. It's like, I can't sit through the prequels.
They took a story that was decent, they turned it into a story that was shit. I don't see what the war still is with people. I just don't get it.
If I could just make a note about Spaceballs, I remember being a kid and seeing Spaceballs, which I was probably too young to say. But that point when he's like,
Did you already know about the Jewish
not
princess
up
before?
Huh?
Huh, Pete?
Did you already know about the Jewish princess before?
No, I didn't know what a
Educational.
Jewish princess was. But I remember distinctly being a kid. And that part when he's like, I said, shoot across her nose, not up it. Who made this man a gunner? I did, sir. He's my cousin. And he's like, how many assholes do I have on this ship? And everybody stands up.
Yo!
Hey. Who is he, sir? He's an asshole. Like, I remember crying until I was in tears.
I'm surrounded by assholes.
Because
Keep
they
firing
just used the
assholes.
term asshole, and it was so funny. Like, it's a curse word, you know?
That's
To
a
be
great
able to
movie.
laugh like that again, you know what I mean?
Dude, that is honestly, like, out of all the derogatory shit human beings can call each other, that one right there, that is the one that just, like, stings the worst, because an asshole. Like, you're just a dirty little shithole. But that's worse than
Literal.
any derogatory, like, racial slang, gender slang, anything. Just call somebody an asshole. Watch them lose their shit. Literally.
People don't like being told they're full of shit either.
Mm-mm.
Well, and you got to figure with these UFO encounters, a lot of people get told they're full of shit.
Oh,
And
David Lang, I love heavy metal as well.
Look at somebody like Travis Walton. Travis Walton, they made a movie about called Fire in the Sky. You guys ever see that?
Of course.
I was afraid of that one. I couldn't watch it.
Scary movie. Scary movie.
Really, Becca?
The fucking thing's dragging him.
Really?
No, I can't watch
Oh.
it. No, I'd be too scared.
Scary.
I like
It
the
is
idea
scary.
though that those were suits.
Well, Tina, the movie came out in 1993. Me and Mecca were 13 years old. So yeah, that movie's gonna scare a 13-year-old. It should. Great scary film. Great scary. But as far as Travis Walton, on November 6, 1975, he was working with a timber improvement crew in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest near Snowflake, Arizona. While riding in a truck with 6 of his co-workers, they encountered a saucer-shaped object hovering over the ground approximately 10 feet away, making a high-pitched buzzing noise. Like an idiot, Walton claims that after he left the truck and approached the object, a beam of light appeared from the craft and knocked him unconscious. The 6 other men were frightened and drove away. Walton claims that he woke in a hospital-like room being observed by 3 short, bald creatures. He claims he fought them until a human wearing a helmet led Walton to another room, where he blacked out as 3 other humans put a clear plastic mask over his face. Walton has claimed he remembers nothing else until he found himself walking along the highway where the flying saucer departed above him. So definitely some missing time. Travis Walton still does all this stuff, but let me point out how stupid I think he is for getting out of the truck and walking to the UFO. Like, who does that?
Me.
Yeah, but then
There's
you wind
all-
up getting all probed.
I know. They told him not to get the hell out of there. They told him not to get out there too. He didn't listen to him.
And they thought his friends killed him.
Huh?
The cops thought his friends killed him.
Oh yeah, yeah. They investigated all of them guys.
They
Yeah,
polygraphed
yeah.
him, they investigated each and one of them. He was gone for 5 days.
Yeah. They thought they got a fight or something up there. I think they were tough guys too. They were like lumberjacks,
They were
right?
logging men, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, damn straight they thought they killed him. What else would you think as a normal person? You know?
Yeah, the guy was missing, you know, and they thought that he had been murdered.
Right. Wholeheartedly they believe that. When there was an issue with one of the guys didn't want to come in and do the polygraph or whatever, right? Remember there was one guy that he didn't want to do anything to do with it, and there were extra suspicions of him.
They're like, you're about to pin a missing person case on me, and now you know what happened.
Yeah, the abduction stuff is the scariest stuff because you're helpless. You're utterly helpless, and if it's happening repeatedly to you, there's nothing you can do. It's not like you can hide from it. You know, and people attempt to. Like, there's been stories where people move, and it keeps happening. You know, and Steve Noon says Walton said a human with military gear took him back to Earth. Yeah, he said there were humans on the craft as well.
Sure.
It was just so strange. So this could have been a joint alien-human thing. I mean, consider the Greater Treaty Eisenhower made in '54 with the aliens. You know,
Exactly, Pete.
it's possible they you know, the Greater Treaty allowed for them to kidnap people for experimentation purposes as long as they brought them back. And they were supposed to provide a list to the government of everybody they were kidnapping, and the aliens quickly broke their end of the treaty, and they just take whoever they want, whenever they want. You know. Have a good night, Big Steve.
Big Steve.
Hi,
Big
sweetie.
Steve.
So happy you hung out with
Hey,
us.
thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh yeah, man. I gotta catch up soon.
Now, Larry talks about they find objects embedded in their skin and body. Yes, alien implants is definitely another factor of this UFO question.
Incoming mission critical message.
You know, where people have
Have them removed.
physical objects placed in their body after they're abducted. Claimed capabilities of the implants range from telepresence to mind control to biotelemetry, the latter akin to humans tagging wild animals for study. As with the UFO subject in general, the idea of alien implants has gotten very little attention from mainstream science. But the concept of alien implants is traced to 1957, when Long John Neville, radio show host, interviewed with UFOologist John Robinson. Where Robinson recounted a neighbor's claim of being kidnapped by aliens in 1938 and kept subdued by small earphones placed behind his ears. Massachusetts resident Betty Anderson claimed that aliens had implanted a device in her nose during a supposed alien abduction in 1967. First publicized by Raymond Fowler in his book, The Andreessen Affair. Sorry, I got a bit of a frog in my throat. A Canadian woman named Dorothy Wallace claimed a similar experience in 1983. In later years, the claims of authors like Whitley Strieber would popularize alien abduction ideas in general, including reports of unusual implants associated with abductions. John E. Mack wrote in his book, Abduction, Human Encounters with Aliens, that he examined 1.5 to 3.5 inch thin, wiry objects given to him by a 24-year-old woman client who claimed it came out of her nose following an abduction experience. California podiatrist Roger Lear also claims to have removed alien implants from patients. According to skeptical investigator Joe Nickel, supposed alien implants appear to be ordinary materials such as shards of glass, jagged piece of metal, and carbon fiber. The objects are also found lodged in extremities such as toes, hands, and shins. Nichols cites Israeli teaching hospital department head Virgil Priscu's opinion that there's no mystery, no implants, explaining the normal objects picked up during a fall or by walking barefoot often become surrounded by scar tissue. Alien implants pictured as small needles inserted into a victim's neck and stomach first appeared in the 1953 film Invaders from Mars.
Really?
So that's a long time ago to have
Yeah, that could have planted some stuff in some minds.
Yeah, it definitely could have. Ginger Viking Jesus asks, is SETI still a thing or have it been shut down by now? No, I'm pretty sure SETI's still a thing. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Talk about the implant in the nose. It reminds me of that scene in Total Recall.
Yeah.
So gross.
Mm-hmm. Threw the basketball out through his nose.
As if you could do that, you know? Yep, ripping your nostril open. Get shot us back to Mars.
Oh, what's up, Doku? How you doing?
Hey, yo. Get your ass to Mars.
Get to Mars.
Yeah, first you gotta shove that thing up. You gotta get out the booger.
Wrap a wet towel around your head.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a giant sinus infection.
Oh, I like that movie when it first came out. It was so futuristic when it first came out. Remember they had the implants in your heart by Yamaha.
I'm like, the remake that they did looked a hell of a lot better, but the story was true.
I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. I like the original one.
Yeah, don't watch the reboot. It's
Right?
just
I don't want to run it.
hold on to the happy memory that was the original.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, and Sharon Stone's hot ass.
That was the pretty I've ever seen her in any movie.
I
Was
like.
that movie.
I know there's no future with it, but yeah, Crazy is so much fun.
She's.
So, here's one that we got from the chat. Let me find it here. Brett Learmouth talks about the bandwagon encounter. So let's talk about the bandwagon encounter. In 1973, Tom Campbell and his fellow musicians on leaving Jordan, Ontario, had a nighttime encounter. Due to circumstances beyond control, he had no recollection of this event until he read Bud Hopkins' book Missing Time, published in 1981, and this began to trigger past memories. Contacting the author resulted in Tom visiting him in New York, where he underwent hypnosis with Dr. Aphrodite Clammer, plus a battery of psychological tests. In all, he had 3 hypnosis sessions. The following account, taken from an audio tape provided by the participant, is a rare example of a multiple abduction encounter. The only other publicized similar account that comes to the writer's mind is the Allagash abductions by Raymond Fowler. And this is what I'm reading here is by Graham Conway. The 4 musicians had just finished a gig and they were busy packing their gear into the van when a stranger whom they had not noticed at the party approached and asked for a lift home. They agreed to let him accompany them. Finally, loading the last of their instruments on board, they all climbed in and set off for home. For some unexplainable reason, they took a service road that bordered the Queen Elizabeth Highway on the north and Lake Ontario on the south. Close to Charles Paley Park, the driver saw lights up ahead and thought there had possibly been an accident. Upon stopping, those in the rear, including Tom, were curious as to what had happened, to which the driver replied, "I think you'd better take a look at this." Upon doing so, they were astonished to see a saucer sitting in the middle of the road. Now, what should we do? Return to the party and try the road again later when it was clear? Attempting to turn around, the driver found that despite his best efforts, he couldn't turn. Even worse, the van appeared to be floating sideways toward the saucer. The drummer, who was in the passenger seat up front, suggested that the driver put his foot on the brake, the reply being that he was already doing that. Tom noticed that there appeared to be no road vehicle contact. The van came to a halt within 30 feet of the craft. The drummer told everyone to stay still. Panicking, he added, "Did you see that? I don't believe it. Somebody's getting out of that thing. What do they look like?" facial muscles showed concern, probably because Tom was contemplating attacking him but was unable to move. The alien telepathically informed him that his hostile thoughts made him concerned for the safety of his crew, that it was not their intention to harm the band members and their mission was one of peace. They wanted to run some tests, but only had enough equipment to examine 3 members of the group. Will you come with me, please? Directing his attention to Tom, the bass player, and the drummer. At one point, the alien captain turned around and caught his foot in the tripod of the snare drum, which promptly rolled out onto the road. One of the crew members picked it up and returned it to the van. The drummer remained seated throughout all of this. The captain asked if the piece of equipment was damaged, addressing Tom, "Is it yours?" To which he replied it was the drummer's, pointing to him. The look on the drummer's face was one of appreciation, as it clearly said, "Why draw attention to me? Come out for a minute." "Is it damaged?" "No, it looks okay." As Tom climbed out, he took a bag of recorders, a flute-like instrument, to which his companion asked, "Why are you taking them? Are you going to do a concert for them?" Tom's intent was to show them the aliens and create a little social interest. The captain again read his thoughts and said, "It's okay, let him bring them." The party passed down the side of the van and entered the saucer through an egg-shaped doorway. Steps were visible in a hallway further on a curve to the left. As the drummer was entering the saucer, he bashed his head on the roof. The saucer captain asked, "Are you okay?" "I think so." "Do you want us to check?" "No, I think I'm fine." Entering the craft, they saw 3 chrome cots on wheels, at which point they were asked to undress and sit on the cots. Tom asked if it was okay to keep their underwear on and was told that it was. Then one of the aliens came over and took a bundle of clothing and their recorders. This action worried Tom, but he was told not to worry. "I'll leave them here until we've finished." At the same time, he could see the drummer and bass player over by the door talking to the aliens. As the bass player took his clothes off, he revealed that he had long johns on. This man was a farmer and lived out in the sticks. Due to his appearance, the drummer began kidding him, and Tom started laughing. At this time, he felt no fear, only a sense of rapport with their abductors. Even the aliens shared a sense of humor of the situation. Tom did not feel pressured, only a need to cooperate. Now he saw one of the little guys wheeling a cart over towards him with what looked like a tray of instruments on it. Some looked like dental probes and lights. Picking up a black thing that looked like the handle of a phone, the alien said, "I'm going to show you how this thing works, then I would like to try it on you. Will it hurt?" "No."
Yes.
With that, the alien shone light on his coat, which promptly became invisible, only showing his arm underneath. Repeating the process on Tom, he was able to see his muscles, arteries, and bones, also the veins contracting and expanding in time on a large screen. After this, he was told to look at this light. Tom tried, but found himself pulling away from viewing it as it pulsated in concentric circles, producing a hypnotic effect and a sense of drowsiness. "Look at it. There's something I want you to see," he was told. Eventually, he fell into a trance-like state and lost all memory of what happened after that. The missing details were later recovered thanks to Aphrodite Claimer's regression techniques in New York. First of all, they relocated him to a room on the right. Then 5 or 6 aliens brought a large machine that appeared to have arms over to where he was laying. This machine also had hoses, probes, and a light on the end of a stick. They checked his fingers, ears, and inside his mouth, taking skin and hair samples, which they put inside plastic bags. In fact, they checked every part of him. After they had finished, they removed the machine and then wheeled him over to where his clothes lay. Then he was told to get dressed. As the 3 abductees were reunited, they were asked if they had any questions they wished to ask. Gordon, who was now dressed, was watching 2 aliens busy putting their instruments away. "Are you from outer space?" "Yes." The following questions were fairly typical. "Do you have bases on Earth?" "Yes, we have many bases on Earth. Some underwater, some in desolate areas where few people go. We have one there," pointing out one of the portholes towards Lake Ontario. During this exchange, Tom had been regarding them as socially and intellectually superior, even viewing them as angelic beings, but obviously highly developed. Tom's question to them was, "What is the true religion on Earth?" This question clearly shocked them, and they looked at each other. "Why would you ask a question like that?" "Because you are more advanced than us. There is no correct religion on Earth." It was now Tom's turn to be surprised. Abruptly, the question period came to an end. However, Tom was still asking questions in his mind and also telepathically eavesdropping, reading their thoughts, to which they were willing to direct us, but not wish to interfere with our decision-making, such as what religion to go to. The 3 band members were escorted to a back door and the bass player was sent out. The drummer was talking and smiling and turned to wave as he walked back to the van. Tom, the last one to leave, started talking to the aliens standing in the doorway, but felt himself going into a trance state again. At the same time, he was overwhelmed by a feeling of kinship, sadness, and love, all which emanated from these beings and resulted in tears in his eyes. Accompanying all this was hope and a sense of purpose that he was crucial to their work and they needed him. Additionally, he was told he has a special mission to help their work and would be a beacon of light to people around him, helping people appreciate that aliens are real and it was important work to do. Then the alien brought him out of his trance state. All of this came out in New York under hypnosis. The alien then said to Tom that there was something that he wanted to show him. Remembering the recorders in the bag, he offered the bag to which the aliens lifted off his hand. What are these? Musical instruments. We play them for our entertainment. How do you play them? You blow air into them. It was apparent to Tom the aliens didn't understand what he was being told. Reaching over, he took one, fingered it, and played a little tune. The alien seemed impressed. Seeing this, Tom took a small soprano recorder out of the bag and gave it to him as a souvenir. What is a souvenir? A gift to remember me by. That would be fine. Tom held it out for the alien to take, but at the same time held on to it. The alien then pulled it out of his hand, causing Tom to look down and notice the captain had 3 fingers and nails that were long and curved down. At the same time, he wondered about giving it to him or not. Aliens promptly picked up on this. Do you want it back? No, you haven't. Are you sure? Are you okay? Do you want one of my crew members to walk you back to your vehicle? No, I can find my way back. He then said goodbye and started walking away from the ship. He could feel the wind blowing on his face, and his face felt itchy. Reaching up, he discovered his face was wet, and then realized he had been crying but didn't know why. Getting into the van, he found everyone sitting like zombies. Something else struck him as odd. The stranger was gone. He concluded that he too must have been part of the whole phenomenon. The ship at this point took off extremely fast until it was a small light, then it was gone. They were all soon talking amongst themselves about what to do. The drummer said, "No, we can't report this. Everyone will think we're crazy. No one will believe us, and I don't want to be ridiculed over something like this." The guitarist agreed. Tom said, "We should report it. If you report it, we'll deny it." Consequently, Tom had no other choice but to go along with the decision. Then he became aware the whole way home, a telepathic voice saying, "You're going to forget. You're going to forget." This continued the whole way home. "No, I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember." He kept fighting the command, "I want to remember." Further down the road, Tom asked the drummer and guitarist, "Shouldn't we report this?" They looked at him in a sincere tone of voice. They both replied, "Report what?" They had already forgotten. On reaching home, Tom said to himself, must write all of this down." With that, he dropped into bed and promptly forgot the whole incident. Only when he picked up and read Bud Hopkins' book, Missing Time, did he find his memory once again triggered. To his surprise, he found himself recalling other abductions, one of which involved his father. Some of the abductions that came back to him were equally as good as this one and possibly even better. 3 encounters he can remember completely or very closely, and other 3 he just has flickers of. Shortly after his New York hypnosis session, he was working with a recognized UFO investigation organization in an attempt to further recall information. Tom's final expressed wish is that this information will be useful to the reader.
Do you think he was just high?
I don't know. The stranger in the van is the really weird part, and that's what gives me the chills the most. They tried to give this stranger a ride home. These aliens are pulling on the door handles of the van, and then this stranger opens up the door. Like,
they could have been mind controlling him, though.
They were probably mind controlled the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stranger was probably on it. The stranger probably was in on it, definitely.
Well, I mean, for all they know, like, none of that actually happened in the physical realm. It was all mental.
Could have been, yeah. It could have been something where even if you're like,
You're
if you're out of, you're out of your body or you're in the it's like the other point.
Kind of like Inception, where like you go into a manifested reality that somebody else is creating. You know, I'm guessing it would be something like that. You know, pull you into that state. But I mean, it could be in the physical world as well. The body is not that hard to control.
It could just be holodecking the whole thing.
Well, no, I'm talking about this. They're finding out, they're doing lab trials right now where they're doing it's a dual resonance frequency. So what they do is they run a high band between about 100,000 to 300,000 megahertz range, and then the lower frequency is about 11,000 times less than whatever frequency they're using, and they run those simultaneously together, And what it's doing is basically like cancer cells, stuff like that. When they tune in on certain frequencies, it just like completely dissolves certain
It's a miracle.
like
Yeah, they find the
stuff.
frequency of the molecule, then they resonate 8 octaves above it, and it makes it.
Yeah, and it's like you're looking at that sort of stuff and going, I get it, we're a clever species, but there's too many points in history where we've made leaps and bounds where it's like, no, that is clear, distinct outside influence.
Yeah, you think.
Like, unless somebody did a shitload of mushrooms and tapped into something that we weren't supposed to hit into for a couple hundred more years, but yeah, I would definitely say there's a little outside influence there, like either by direct contact or, you know, finding wreckage and reverse engineering.
There's a whole bunch of innovations and stuff made after the Roswell incident, right? Like microwave ovens and nanotechnology, stuff like that.
Fiber optics. Yeah.
Fiber optics, yeah.
Yeah, early
Velcro.
microcircuitry, solid state electronics.
Well, again, you know, and that comes back to the Bob Lazar thing that we talk about so often. You know,
Oh,
I firmly believe he was telling the truth, and you know, he did work on
yeah.
alien craft.
He's
That's-
like, yeah.
Milton
Yeah,
Knowles
anything
asks,
from-
if you have sex with an alien, do you think it would be out of this world? There was a
Depends on
guy
how
who
far
had
we
sex
go.
with aliens. We should do a show about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there was only that one abduction, wasn't it?
No. His name's Huggins. He was a deli clerk, David Huggins. He's an artist. He does paintings of his alien sexcapades.
Makes sense.
Mm.
Well,
Of course he did.
pictures.
He lost his virginity to an alien.
Sure,
No, he couldn't get his pants off fast enough.
Like,
There's a website. You can go to the website Love and Saucers.
dude, oh my
I-
God, really?
I got it. I got
Yeah,
it.
like seriously, man,
Oh
my
my
hat's off to that, because I'll say it like this: if ever given the chance to do that, I'd be like, I hope everybody that loves me or cares about me understands, but like this is a Captain Kirk moment, and like I gotta make the species proud.
I can't even show you this picture, but I wish I could. I'll have to show it to you guys after we're done the stream. Essentially, it's a painting done by David Huggins. It's of a woman with a very voluptuous body. She's nude, except her head is that of a gray alien, and she has a black wig on.
Give us a link in a private chat.
Okay, Sharon.
Are you sure it wasn't just a fat chick with an alien mask?
No. She's holding her humongous breasts in her hands.
Oh, okay.
Here's a link in the private chat. For those of you who want to see this on your own, go to the website Love and Saucers and check out the gal.
I put the link in there for you guys.
How did
Yeah,
you
Love
come
and
across
Saucers.
Love and Saucers? You watch
There's a
this
great
weird
podcast
shit?
about this. The Unbelievable Podcast did episodes about this called The Man Who Fucks Aliens.
Oh my!
It is hilarious. Like, you will laugh till you cry.
Hey, wait, dude, are you like really?
It looks
This
like a
motherfucker- I'm sorry.
dude's shoulders are like Yoko Ono style or something.
That's some chick in a mask.
That was gross.
No, she was an alien.
Nah, she's just gross.
Okay, no.
Chicken and mask.
Yo, nasty bitch.
Now I'm going to go ahead and link the Unbelievable Podcast episode, The Man Who Fucks Aliens, down here in the chat. So if you guys want to listen to that after the stream, it's very, very funny. That's just part one, so you have to get part two on your own. It's all there on
Oh, she riding in
Spreaker, but it's so funny. Oh my god.
Ooh,
Oh,
she
Pirate Radio says last podcast on the left did a show recently called Sex and Aliens. Hilariously good stuff. Yeah, last podcast on the left is pretty funny. It's pretty funny stuff. I've listened to them before. They've done some good shows. But Unbelievable Podcast is probably my favorite paranormal podcast that ever existed. It ran from 2012 to 2018. There's over 200 something episodes. I constantly shill it whenever I get the opportunity. I've been listening to it all week, just back episodes again. So funny. The Man Who Fucks Aliens. But yeah, definitely check it out. David Huggins, he's a deli clerk from Hoboken. Lost his virginity to an alien, had over 100 encounters with aliens.
Dude,
You should appreciate it.
I'm looking at one right now where she's got him out in like the woods area in a little thicket, and she's straight riding that stuff all day.
That was the first time he lost it to an alien in the woods.
I'm like, that's hot as shit, dude.
Another time he did it while a mantis watched. A mantis alien watched them.
Mantis alien, huh? Well, at least she landscapes.
Oh, you're sticking shit up your nose. What? No, that's some fucked up wordplay.
Yeah, it's really funny because he's like 74 years old, and there's audio recordings of him talking. It's just, oh my god, you'll be in tears.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah. Well, he didn't lose his virginity at 74. He's been banging this alien throughout his whole life.
Are you sure? Because
No.
this is like the type of person who would lose it.
I do want to say, I'm looking at her going, oh, she's kind of all like, she's a little, she's looking kind of like Captain Marvel manly-ish a little bit. And those lips, man, oof. I ain't talking about the upper deck either.
He's got her framed in like a heart frame in one picture, so he must have been in love with her.
Oh, he loved her. Yeah, they would go on dates. She'd come to his place, and he'd make dinner, and they'd get
What
dinner.
What do aliens
What
eat?
happened? Yeah, what do aliens eat? Well, why did he? What happened? Why did they have to stop seeing each other?
Did your alien father not approve?
You know, something happened where he didn't realize that he was breeding hundreds of alien children as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. There's always a drawback.
Or a catch?
Yeah, hey, you know what though? That's the best. Like, hey, we need to invent that system. Be like, hey, wait a minute. So they had hundreds of kids and everything, and like, how's he not like inundated with child support or something? Is he like?
There's a pretty funny joke about that. I'm telling you, you gotta listen to me. Like really, I can't do it justice. These guys who do the Unbelievable Podcast are professional comedians. I'm gonna link it again in the chat. Like, I highly recommend it to everybody. It's so funny. My God, I wish I could describe it. It's too good. The Man Who Fucks Aliens. Trust me on this.
The man who fucks aliens. Okay. Dude, that should totally that should make a fucking series out of that. Be like, just pay him for his story, and then just do some crazy ass TV show.
And every week he fucks a new alien.
No, it's the same alien, just new places. They just travel around the world in like fucking new places. It'd be like softcore porn.
I feel like the South Park episode where they, instead of fighting around the world, it's fucking around the world.
Tugger. Love that episode.
Hey, you know what? I'm all
Remember
for
the noise
this.
the boat made, Mecca?
I
Been a
would
while.
This is like that Max and Maria Sterling moment, where like the alien races, rather than duking it out and killing each other and everything, they find a common goal. They find love. And
Find out they all hate us.
yeah, you find, oh hey, you got that ass, I want to tap it.
Species erotica, bucko.
Right, exactly. But I'm like, okay, you know what? Just so long as people are doing that shit instead of killing each other, and the aliens too, so long as you guys are doing that instead of killing each other, yeah, at least we can work with that. little hard to, have a conversation when shit's blowing up all around you.
And on that note,
yeah, bizarre stuff. But I'm checking the time on the clock, folks, and it looks like we're getting to that time of the night. Unfortunately, we got to wrap it up. And again, I'm going to share this. If you're looking for more information on the man who fucks aliens, I'm dropping the link in there again. It's so funny. I'm really so after the show, definitely check it out, everybody. It's goddamn ridiculous.
Aliens, huh?
Yeah, if you Google the man who fucks aliens, you'll get the show.
And make sure you do that with an image search.
Oh, if you do that, you're just gonna get images from aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And the Shape of Water. But yeah, if you Google the man who fucks aliens, you'll get the Unbelievable Podcast episode 241. That's the man who fucks aliens. It's 241 and 242, parts 1 and 2. It's hilarious. Hilarious. My God, I cannot express enough how funny it is. Link doesn't work, says David Morris. Let me try again. Link works for me. Yeah, it just took me right to the episode. Yeah, Caesar Duran. I recommend you guys listen. Brian Frangie, the host of this podcast, I did an interview with him years ago. So, yeah, I had him on the Creepy Little Book. It's an episode called The Creepy Little I don't know if it's publicly available. But if you guys listen to the Unbelievable Podcast and you like it, then tomorrow let me know and I'll unprivate the video and you can check it out. He's a very funny guy. He's a writer on Adam Ruins Everything, last I heard. If you guys are familiar with that show, it's on True TV.
I think I've heard it. Yeah, I think I've seen it. I've just heard of it.
Pretty funny stuff. But yeah, check out Fox Aliens, everybody. Love and Saucers is the name of the website if you want to look at the artwork. He's a talented artist if you want to see a guy who had sex with aliens and did paintings of them. Not funny, but I can say that.
Dude, he got down.
He's like, this is me and this alien with the reverse cowgirl.
I wonder if that was just somebody deceiving him for a very long time. You know how you like see on old Jersey.
Hey, it'd be like, if it felt good the whole time and you finally came to that, you would just have to admit the truth and be like, hey man, ignorance is bliss. That busting felt good as shit. But,
It's a very important question here from Pilot. Radio. When, if ever, will you do the 5 to 10 minute one-shot videos? Now, I've slacked this year, and I've done like 2 5 to 10 minute one-shot videos. But also, I've let myself go to shit and I look disgusting. So, I'm not too pleased with my appearance on camera, which is why you don't see me on camera right now. I made a commitment yesterday, for those of you who were listening, to a new format in 2020. High Strangeness will go to 6 nights a week rather than 7. So I can use Sunday nights to make a video, 5 to 10 minute short shot.
Makes sense.
So on Sunday nights, I'll make videos for the channel. So we'll get at least 1 short shot a week. And we'll do High Strangeness 6 nights a week. But starting on January 1st, I'm going to move the show to 1:30, a hard 1:30, and we're only going to go for an hour. An hour and a half is kind of long. So, High Strangers will continue, although it's going to be a little bit shorter. And it's going to be 6 days a week.
That's
And
easier
also
to
I'm gonna
listen
try to
back
put-
to.
What's that?
That's easier to listen back to it.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, it's just
Yeah.
So, and we're also going to be looking at doing some interviews. I want us to do like 2 interviews a month with other YouTubers and other people who are involved in the paranormal and the weird. And I want to do them twice a month if possible. They'll be on Saturday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, PM. So they'll be a little earlier in the evening, and we'll still do Higher Strangeness on those nights. But I'll do 2 streams that night, and we'll get short videos back up again. I have so many topics for short videos queued up and ready to go. It's just a matter of scripting them, getting them ready, and getting them done, which I really haven't had time to do. I mean, right now, my 10-month-old is upstairs screaming her head off. She's one of the reasons I don't have as much time as I used to. But taking Sunday nights off from doing High Strangeness will give me the opportunity to film these short videos again. And yes, we will be doing those in the new year. So only a few more weeks of slacking on my part, and then the short videos will be back. Because this channel is not growing very much anymore, and that's because I haven't made short videos. So we're going to get back into that mix. Fortunately, we've survived another YouTube purge, knock on wood. And if tomorrow we wake up and the channel's gone, it's been a good ride, and you can find me on BitChute and subscribe to my backup channel, Dark Sayings. Milton Knoll says, who was it that you were just going to do an interview with that I'm subscribed to? Just curious. I reached out to Orly Stewart to do an interview with her about Satanism. In fact, I have to shoot her an email, which I'll do in the morning, because we talked on Instagram. So I'll shoot her an email, and then we'll see about getting her on, because I definitely love to talk to her about Satanism. She's very well versed in the topic. So yeah, you know, I'd like to get some experts on here, and you know, I'll reach out to Tradcat Knight, who's been so kind. He's had me on his show a bunch of times. I'd like to get him on here as well. He's a traditionalist Catholic. Traditionalist Catholicism is very different than mainstream Catholicism. So he's got a lot of very interesting information. Pirate Radio, no, BitChute. On BitChute, it's still Creepy Little Book. On YouTube, I have a backup channel called Dark Sayings. So you can find Creepy Little Book on BitChute, and you can find my backup channel, Dark Sayings, here on YouTube. Dark Sayings right now is just audiobooks. But if something happens to Creepy Little Book, Dark Sayings is where I'll pick up on YouTube. But Creepy Little Book does exist right now on BitChute. There's tons of my videos up there. All the old live streams are up there, even some that aren't here on YouTube. So yeah. And I think BitChute's only going to become a bigger platform as time
Yeah,
goes.
me too. I gotta get into that. It's like the next big thing.
Think of Aussie says Pornhub channel. You know what?
Dude, I already got one.
Fed has
Get over
one.
there. Get over there.
I've heard people talking on Twitter that they're going to set up Pornhub channels too, because it's the one place where you can talk about whatever the fuck you want.
Dude, you
Sex
have
thing,
no idea. There's a major free speech shit fight coming down the pipeline, and I'm telling you, like, all the degenerates.
Zorgon Peterson.
We're going to turn Pornhub into YouHub, baby.
Pretty much. Like, it's like this. You may not like porn or something like that, but again, that's the canary in the coal mine. So long as that stuff is allowed to exist, you are allowed to exist.
If you don't like porn, that's why they have so many categories.
Right. Like, even the people you don't get along with, like, their right to exist is fucking paramount. Along with your own and anybody else.
See, and that's why I'm here, like, next to people that I might disagree with on some things, like political or, you know, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna, like, dehumanize people over a difference in opinion.
Either everybody is a part of the equation, or screw you, kick me out.
People?
You need the people at that point. You're just some NPC looking for power grabs. Fuck out of here.
Solid contact, securing ship. You're
You
all
ain't
checked
even a
in.
human being at that
Enjoy
point.
your visit.
Here's the thing on BitChute. You have to be over the age of 16, so none of this COPA bullshit of YouTube applies.
YouTube should just ban children.
You should have children on YouTube.
No.
They don't
No.
belong.
Fuck those kids. Get them off YouTube. Like, what are they on the internet? They need to be in like books. They need to be, you know, if you got them on digital media, they need to be learning ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, reading stories, fucking learning about the world, learning history. Like, they need to be learning.
They
Period.
need to learn how to learn and how to think and how to ask
Exactly.
questions, and they don't because their
And
parents
find their
didn't learn
own
that.
answers.
Nope.
You know, be like, here's the scientific method. Here's a way to approach the world. And like, if you don't have answers, here's a systematic way you can look for like clues to lead you in the right direction towards, you know, towards answers to your question. Not just a biased confirmation, but actually be like, okay, this is what you can prove and this is what you can't. This is what's real. This is what is either theory or just completely false.
I got a question here from Ginger Viking Jesus real quick. Is BitChute a paid service if you want to start a channel? No. You do not have to pay to use BitChute. Although if you want to donate to BitChute so it can grow and increase its usability like David Morris suggests, then definitely do so.
Yeah, kick them a couple bucks, man. Worth it.
No. $5 goes a long way for BitChute. You know, what's $5 to me is like, it's not even a value.
Like, look, some of the stuff I've heard on the backside is they actually are working on somewhat of a like a live stream service, as well as I keep hearing a hubbub about that. No confirmation from the owner or anything, but you know, that has been discussed on live streams. Is, yeah, like, that is eventually where it wants to go, because like it needs to. You basically need old YouTube decentralized so that nobody can fuck with it, and payment services that are outside the normal means of control, where they can just flip anybody the finger to screw you, they got fuck you money. To put it bluntly.
Bluntly is the best way to
And
put it.
right now, you know who has all that infrastructure? Porn. They've already been through all this shit, all the censorship, all of it. They've already been through all this. Like, they have hardened their own infrastructure, and it's like, they've just been sitting there for, like, better part of about 2 decades waiting for the rest of the population to catch the fuck up. Because they knew this was coming down the pipeline for everybody, because it came for them, and nobody said shit. Then it came for the rapper.
It's a really good point here.
Shit.
The fact that people know about BitChute means it's going to be the rock everyone jumps to when YouTube eventually fails.
Yeah.
And you know what was funny? The YouTube is over party was trending today. And so many people were like, yeah, YouTube sucks. YouTube is destroying its thing for small creators. So yeah, I mean, people are aware of it. People are aware of BitChute. You know, it's only a matter of time at this point. Because you know what? They don't want small creators on here. They want corporate shit. I searched conspiracies on YouTube today. You know what I got? Stephen Colbert, MSNBC, CNN. That's what I got.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a conspiracy right there.
No. They wouldn't do some shit like
Yes.
that. No.
All right. Well, on that note, Fed, your Pornhub channel, you're just Fedorable to Horrible, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same as here.
Yeah, no, I basically I try and keep the name across multiple platforms, so I'm easy to find.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for tonight, everybody. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. Before we go, I would be remiss if I did not mention our sponsor, My Patriot Supply, who I spoke to the other day. And we were talking about how people prep, preppers. And people prepped differently from 2010 through 2016 than they do today. A lot of people stopped prepping once Obama left the White House, as if everything you prep for has to do with one president or one political party. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you think that way, you're wrong. Look at the deep state, look at the Illuminati, look at these secret societies, look at how they're willing to destroy this country, due process, privacy. Look at how these big tech firms want to crush free speech. These people would wipe their ass with the Constitution if it meant they would get power. And what do you think happens if they do get into power? We prepare because we understand the threats we face are way bigger than a singular thing. Because of this fact, I partnered with My Patriot Supply, and I think you should too. Right now, save $70 on a 2-week food kit with guaranteed 2-day delivery to your door at preparewithpeter.com. This offer won't last, but here's the good news: My Patriot Supply will. And don't think you can't afford to repair. They have payment plans and options to fit any budget, so don't wait. Get ahead of the chaos today. So go to preparewithpeter.com. That's preparewithpeter.com. You'll find more information on that and a link down in the description of this video. Hey, DJ, to the end of the show.
Yes, indeed. The aliens didn't want me to say the truth. And I'll not do it enough to get me. No, yeah, they definitely want
I also should point out that if you want to get in touch with me, my Twitter and email are in the description of this video. I'm really easy to get a hold of. Mr. A, I did get your email. I'll get back to you. Maybe we'll get a night where we can get you on. I'm thinking about doing open lines once a week. So if you guys would think that'd be a good idea, if you'd like to do Friday night open lines, that might be something we can do every Friday. So we'll see. If that's an idea you guys would be interested in, maybe I'll put a poll up on YouTube here in the community tab. And you guys can let me know if you'd like an open lines Friday night. You know, and maybe, you know, like we did on Halloween. Maybe we can do that for the holidays. Maybe we can do that on Fridays. We'll see. But yeah, if you need to get in touch with me, Twitter or email, right down in the description of this video. Also, the link to the Teespring store. We got a bunch of great designs up there, including the I Don't Give a Fuck About Space Wizards t-shirt.
I have that hoodie.
Yeah, you got the hoodie, exactly. And you can get that for 20% off now if you use the code TAKEITOFF, all capital letters. It'll save you 20% on your order. You'll also find a link to my Patreon. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters who've been with me for so long and continue to support this work. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. You'll also find links to everybody's channel down in the description. So subscribe to Becca, DJ D, and Fed, and Jesse. And there's also a link to Tina's Twitter if you'd like to follow her there. So don't hesitate to check out the description of this video. Thank you all so much for being here. And with special thanks to Deranged Lunatic, Jesse Patrick, and Dash Fat Bastard for your generous super chats. Much appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. And as we do, this has been the Creepy Little Book Live. And you've been listening to High Strangeness, the #1 late night paranormal podcast on YouTube. I've been your host, Pete, and with me tonight were Tina Tomaszewski, Jesse Miller at the Crow's Nest, Adorable the Horrible, Mecha Random 42, and late edition DJ D of the DJ D Show. Sorry we didn't have more time with you, DJ D. But until tomorrow night, everybody, stay creeped out.